Ready when you are. Good morning, everyone. Back for another Friday and another Connect and Share with Outdoors New South Wales and ACT. And today, I'm not trying to confuse you. It is actually the 24th of September today, but we are very close to the 27th of December. September. I don't know if I say I'm already wanting Christmas to be here. 27th of September, which is World Tourism Day. So I thought I might highlight some aspects of our industry that align with tourism and give you a bit more of a flavour of the worth of tourism to our industry. But before I do that, I want to certainly acknowledge our traditional owners from the lands we all meet today. And today I come from Darug country, and here we say Warrami, which is welcome and hello. And I hope that we are able to engage with all of our Aboriginal ancestors in understanding our country that little bit more, so that we can impart that knowledge and engagement with our land to the people that we conduct our activities with. So let's kick off. World Tourism Day. Nature tourism is a key component of anything that happens in the world of tourism. And as most of you know, I've got a bit of a background in the tourism area. So I thought I'd pull some stats, and certainly Destination New South Wales do this well. And they actually look at nature tourism as one of the areas that they look at from a statistical perspective. So I thought I'd share their data with you today and give you a bit of an insight into really the worth. And you can see there that those that came before COVID were quite substantial in the way of nature tourism. So we had 37 million visitors over 1 year that came to New South Wales or engaged in New South Wales tourism in a nature tourism perspective. Of that, they spent close to 141 million nights. So when you equate that to an average expenditure of around about $213 per person per night, you have a very large economic benefit from what we have in New South Wales that revolves around nature tourism. So a total expenditure of around $24 billion. So as you know, some of you are in this industry, some of you are part of the tourism industry, but as a whole, certainly it is worth a substantial amount to the economy in this state. If you are on the sideline and you're an activity provider but haven't yet jumped into the tourism space, maybe some of the content that we talk about today might entice you to think a little bit differently and look at the product that you can make consumer facing and get a little bit more tourism into your business. The one thing that I love about tourism, and that you see in its rawness, is the level of engagement it has right through the local level, and the multiplier effect of the dollars that are transacted from a tourism dollar can be up to about 7 times the benefit in a local community. And that's because they're not just expending it on the transport and the accommodation and the activities that they do, but anything in the local area needs supplies and services from other locals. And it goes right into the jobs and the local area to a larger degree than any other industry. So I thought that diagram gives you a little bit more of an understanding of how that impact actually happens. But what I like to also highlight in this, and particularly at a time where in New South Wales, we're all busting to get out and go and do things very quickly. A lot of times when we search on Google and we say we want to do an activity or we want to go to a regional area, the top areas on your Google search are often companies that are not based in Australia. They're companies that are often owned by overseas conglomerates. And I just ask everyone to consider that as we come out of COVID, whether you're a participator or a business. This would affect both of you to look at how we can benefit the local area better and prevent what we call tourism leakage. This looks in a way of something like the Airbnbs of the world or the booking.coms. They're great resources to cut through in distribution, and certainly a marketing tool and a technique for those that are really wanting to expand their distribution channels. But certainly when we're coming out of this and we want to make sure that our local areas are benefiting more from the tourism dollar, just consider who you're booking with or who you're actually marketing with to make sure, again, that that local area benefits a lot more. So enough on World Tourism Day, but if you want to actually know more, certainly we can help. So there's lots of tools and resources, and Leslie's got a few links that she's going to put into the chat, but there's some fact sheets that Tourism Australia put out there around understanding markets a little bit more. There's strategies and various tools and resources for industry to use. So if you want to know more, again, just reach out, and certainly the one-on-one mentoring sessions with our members are still happening. So if you haven't had one yet and you want to, reach out and we'll lock that in for you, and we'll go through some of the opportunities that might be on your horizon. Okay, so just a quick update on school camps in New South Wales and the ACT. We still don't have any clarity, but all of you would have received your member newsletter this week, which asked you to look at some of the tools and resources that we've built and advocating with us for that understanding. The challenge we have right now is that we are seen as a risky area for the COVID transmission. As you would have seen in this document that I sent to all our members, we've tried to create an infographic in partnership with Christian Venues and ACA in how really, at the end of the day, there is more risk associated with kids going to their usual campus and school than there is at camp. And we need to get this message across that we are not in a risky position to be able to conduct outdoor education opportunities for our kids. So again, I'll just highlight that if we could all just sing the same song from the song sheet or use the same language in talking with your local members and trying to get them to take these messages through to the state government, while CVA and ACA and ourselves are all working at that level. I think it'll certainly help, and thank you to those that have already done it. I'm already starting to see that some of the local members are charging forth with your content that you've provided them from this document. So thank you. Work, and hopefully we'll have some clarity very soon on school camps. But use that infographic as much as you can, and even on your own socials, we can get that out a little bit further. So new dates, as you probably would have seen Leslie share with you last week, and thank you, Leslie, for covering for my absence last week. But COVID Live is certainly a great website to keep an eye on the vaccinations in New South Wales and all around the country. They've actually got every state covered in that website. It's a private website that has verified data from every state and territory in Australia. And the dates are being brought forward. So you can see that we were the 11th last week. We are now the 7th of October for our 70% vaccination date. And the 9th of October for Canberra for the ACT. So that's come closer again. And the 17th of October for our 80%. That just seems right around the corner, and certainly the carrot being waved in front of us is not just regional travel, but potential overseas travel at that point in time. So it's all getting a bit real. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like as the public health orders do come out, and I'll be able to report them straight to you as they do. So what does this mean? And I suppose it's really timely when we talk about World Tourism Day. This is a real opportunity for those that potentially are in the school environment and they're really unsure when they're going to get access to their students, to look at what opportunities exist to pivot a little bit and talk to consumers. So the public, as we know, are going to look forward to ways that they can get out of the house, get out of what they've been living for now in Greater Sydney, 92 days. And looking at what they can do in the beautiful spring weather. So if you have an opportunity that you can make available to consumers, now's the time to look at it and really get ready. So you might have seen, I've put out a bit of social media on this week, but some real key tips on this. There's three things we need to consider, and particularly that top one is very evident when it comes to outdoor activities and outdoor recreation, and that is around capacity. We know that staffing is a challenge right now. We know that our lack of probably qualified leaders in the field might be a reality. And we, as you all know, we're supporting you with that by doing a lot of work with the New South Wales government, particularly in workforce development. And I'll share a little bit more on that later. But that means that your capacity may not be what it was pre-COVID or even at the period before the lockdown, the extended lockdown. So my advice to you all is to manage your bookings within your capacity limits. And in talking with some of you, I love and applaud the fact that you are looking at more basic activity and getting back and then raising the bar as the time goes on. I think that's a very sensible approach. So certainly looking at that capacity management is going to be key as we get the demand back. Don't be too excited about the phone ringing. Make sure you're managing it within the capacity that you can manage it. Processes. It's a really great time now to reflect on the COVID plans that exist, and there's the ACT one that is on our website. There is the New South Wales COVID plans that's on our website as well. So checking those documents, making sure that your processes and your policies around COVID comply or match or even raise the bar from what the government recommends, and ensuring all of your staff are very much across your position on this. Flexibility. Remember that 2 years ago, there were things that were totally impossible, totally couldn't do, couldn't allow people to work from home. Why? And now look, so there's things that seemed completely out of the Richter scale that are now quite possible. So think about that as you're being flexible with your approaches, looking at innovations around your activity in your business. And the biggest tip I can give anyone coming from 30 years in customer service is that excellent customer relations really set you up for the future and sustainability of any business. And that means communicating, being transparent, telling them about the processes and policies that you have in place. Involve them in your business as if they were part of your business, because you wouldn't exist if they weren't coming. So engage them, communicate with them, and treat them as part of your business. Okay, on to all of the reminders for the week. This is your last chance to get into NOAC. It is next Wednesday, and it is a conference that commences at 10:30, finishes at 4, but you do get breaks in between, and there's 4 sessions that are on offer. And you would have heard me rabbit on about this in previous sessions, but there's a great lineup, and now the OEA finalists have been announced, so it's very exciting to see who's going to take out top gong when it comes to outdoor education in Australia, and that'll be the final session of the day. So again, if you've paid for the National Outdoor Education Conference for 2022, this is free, and you'll be receiving your link on Monday. If you haven't paid for 2022, you can get access to this event for just $30, and you can register for that on our website. So COVID updates, Canberra and the greater ACT area, you are in lockdown until the 15th of October, I'm afraid. That was announced this week. Certainly we are working as hard as we can in an advocacy role to ensure that you are not forgotten when it comes to the position on a financial and recovery basis. And I've been liaising with Brendan Smythe this week, who's the local business commissioner, who's certainly helping some of our Canberra members in understanding their predicaments and challenges as they try to remain part of our industry and recover from this. And there's no change on the grants as yet, but certainly, as we said last week, if you got the first grant, you'll certainly be receiving the second grant with no added application process. New South Wales. So as you would have seen, there's LGAs in and LGAs out of lockdown across the state, and that will probably remain until we hit that 70% mark. But as I said before, COVID Live is a great resource to understand what dates we are aiming for those public health orders to be put in place. As we said, the public health orders haven't been released, so we don't know the full content, but you can get a bit of a gist for what will be included at that website, which is the Freedoms for Fully Vaccinated in the Service New South Wales website. One of the biggest news of the week was the Dine and Discover vouchers have been extended again. So that's great news. 30 June 2022, because I know I still got a few in my little Service New South Wales app that I haven't used. So for those that haven't used them, you've got a little bit more time to redeem those. But for those operators that are part of the program and can redeem some of those, you can certainly get access to some more public opportunities before June. Okay, events. So thank you to everyone that attended the workforce development session yesterday. It was a great turnout. I think the department's totally overwhelmed with the interest on the program, and I have to say another big thank you to Stacey and James for compiling such an awesome program. It is certainly going to be one that we can leverage to get more awareness about our industry and the opportunities for career paths in the outdoors. So there's two parts, well, there's lots of different parts to it, but the two parts are from the school side and working with schools to get career paths known about the outdoors in that environment, and also the workforce development area. There's a lot of organisations that have said that they want to work with the department, so now they have that list. If you're not involved and want to see that workshop presentation yesterday, let us know. We'll send you the link. It's not a public link. We can send you the link and you can view it, certainly. And then if you're interested in being part of that program, let us know and we'll pass on your details. But yeah, really, really happy about where that's going, and hopefully it's going to set up some great opportunities for the industry. So today we're going to be talking about trends that will affect us, and that's out of some research that has been provided from McCrindle Research. So I'm using Sophie and Jeff's content in vain, but I certainly give them a bit of promotion today because it's really great stuff in helping us make informed choices about the direction of our organisations and our industry. And then next week, we've got the ATO coming along. So get your questions ready on some of the challenges you might be having with the Australian Taxation Office, but they'll give us a bit of an update on working with small business and medium-sized businesses. And then the 11th of October, we have our annual general meeting, a big one for us. It is going to be one that we are changing a little bit of a structure. So this is what happens when you get to a stage of life cycle like we do. We need to move from a state legislation and move to a company limited by guarantee to ensure you're all protected in the way that you should be and have a real powerful peak body behind you. So a company limited by guarantee will still be Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, of course, but yeah, it's an important landmark for the future of the industry. So if you want to come along, make sure you RSVP. So I just thought I'd quickly highlight this. Most of you might be aware, but in case you're not, I just want to play this quick video, and we've touched on it before around casual employment and what the law says you now need to do. So not only is it World Tourism Day on Monday, but this is a crucial date for you all to be compliant with the law when it comes to casual employment. So make sure you get your CEISs out to your casual employment employees if you haven't already. So a quick reminder for you there. Now, we're going to jump straight into today's content. And what I've tried to do is bring some of the content from the recent studies done by McCrindle to the forefront to help you think about where your business and your activities can go into the future. This is really good to understand, certainly from the benefit of being on the front foot when it comes to innovation and looking at different ways to do things. But as Sophie articulates it better than I can, I'll let her tell you a little bit why they do what they do.
Hi, I'm Sophie Renton, Research Director at McCrindle. You're in a competitive industry and expected to do more with less. In this era of disruption, it is essential to have the latest trends so that you can lead confidently into the future. In everything we do, we aim to provide a clearer picture of the trends that shape our lives. We know the power of making informed, evidence-based decisions that save you time and help you grow your organisation. In essence, we exist to empower human flourishing. At McCrindle, we provide the full range of services to help you understand your organisation, your industry, and the world around us. Whether it's gaining customer insights, finding growth areas for your business, giving life to your data, or presenting the insights at your next event, we can partner with you at any stage of your journey. The first step is to head to mccrindle.com.au to check out our free reports, infographics, and articles. We'd also love to connect on socials so you can stay up to date with our latest insights and events. Let's discover the future together.
Thanks, Sophie. So basically what I've done is pull all the content from the free resources that are on their website. So if you want to know a little bit more about what I'm saying today, every single one of the reports that I've pulled from is available for free on mccrindle.com.au. But what we need to highlight is the world has changed. And I'm sure Blind Freddie can tell us that that's the case. And we all know that certainly even in our space that it's definitely changing. There is a great quote that Mark McCrindle said, which only occasionally in history do massive demographic changes combined with huge social shifts, ongoing generational transitions and unprecedented technology in innovation, so that with the span of a decade, society altogether alters. Australia is currently in the midst of this transformation right now. So incredible stuff if you're a demographer, but what does that mean for business? Great leaders have a focus on the next program, but the next generation. So look at what is going to happen, make sure you're planning for that, and that certainly sets up a great leader. But a leader's key role is not to single-handedly achieve the outcome, but to understand the times and shape the environment so the team's success is inevitable. So let's dive in. What is happening? Key items of importance for the consumers, and that's including us as people that also consume other retail and items in the world. But we are shaped by technology, that's certain. We want more access and we want it now. It is about the speed of transaction that wins the day. And before, when we're talking about the tourism area and those top Google rankings, they often win out because of that access and that ability to transact very, very quickly. A lot of people are leaving it till the last minute for obvious reasons, that whatever purchase they're making, the uncertainty around them just leaves it till the last minute. So we've got to be ready to transact a lot quicker, more efficiently, and online more than ever before. And not only that, but guess what? We're being more demanding. It's about our needs, and it's got to match exactly what I'm looking for. So understanding more about the consumers is certainly going to help with that. So out of the reports that McCrindle did, it was very obvious. 79% said they'll increase the number of digital payments that they're making over the coming years. So think about your own transactions and what that has been looking like, particularly during COVID, and that's probably a no-brainer. But also the growing linguistic diversity, which is starting to really increase in the areas of Sydney City, but Sydney, Greater Sydney, and even in New South Wales and regional New South Wales and Canberra. So what does that mean? It means that we've got to be a lot more flexible in how we transact with our consumers. We've got to have more opportunities opportunities for language understandings and translations that we probably have never had before. There is actually a stat that we have double the amount of immigrants from outside of English-speaking countries than UK and US when it comes to percentages. So there is a hell of a lot of need for understanding some of these needs of our consumers and looking at that multilingual opportunity. Remote working. So this was really interesting, I suppose, something that not necessarily in our industry we could cope well with, but from a consumer sense, this actually translates a lot into what their needs are. So they're saying that working remotely helps them experience a better work-life balance. So they're able to fit more of life into their day-to-day. They love the flexible working hours, and they like the ability that they're away from noise to do that deep thinking and reflecting. So what does that mean for us when it comes to offering services and experiences? That means that we're probably not traditionally a weekend business anymore. It may mean that enticing some of this language into our marketing will connect with the visitors and consumers on a more ingrained manner. So, regions. We've probably seen a lot of people exiting cities, and most people think that they're either going to Queensland or another state, but in actual fact, the huge rise is actually out to the regional areas. And obviously that's where a majority of our industry is based. So they're actually not, 42% are actually attracted to the idea of moving away from the city, but they want to keep their job in the city. So what COVID has done is enabled them to actually do that, to stay connected in a job that is broader and can be done from a regional area, but living in a community that has got less traffic, less time between the office and home, and so many more advantages which were detailed in the report. But perhaps the biggest opportunity that we have for our industry is that right-hand side of that slide. And this is about the wellbeing era. 83% are actually making more of an effort now to prioritise their health and wellbeing than ever before. And 76% are making an effort to avoid a sedentary lifestyle. So I think this in itself has got a great opportunity in the language that we use. And as you know, I've always said that Outdoors New South Wales ACT is here to empower the industry that connects people for health and wellbeing. So bringing a lot more of this to the forefront in your communications, you'll be able to connect a lot better with the consumer and hopefully get a little bit more traction in your marketing. Undeniable trends that are happening in the world today. We talked about digital transactions. Well, yes, in actual fact, it's probably going to end up being a cashless society, not just digital, but removing cash from the equation. So you can see there 71% said they'll increase digital payments. The purchases in their everyday life will be a seamless transaction. I know myself, I'm using my phone now to transact if I'm paying at Woolworths, something I never thought I'd ever do. The tap and go is certainly becoming of age. And how do you transact in your business in this way to make sure that you're connecting with your audience a little bit better and ensuring that ease of transaction, that timely transaction, and a problem-free engagement with your customers. So how important are the following for the consumers in buying anything? Now, this can range from your food to experiences to anything that you have to transact with. And again, that top one comes to that access area. It's about the simplicity of purchase. That will purchase something quickly and efficiently if it's simple to do. And it's that sort of impulse buy, but on a different level. Authenticity of brand certainly still comes up there. So that belief and that trust in that brand is important. Now, keep in mind, this is not just about knowing the brand. This is not just the fact that I've seen that brand before. Authenticity comes into that trust element and that emotive connection that people have with a brand. As we know, brands aren't just logos, brands are emotions. And that's that connection that people need to feel. Now, that could be because of recommendations from colleagues or friends or family, that they get that element of trust. But it's about your messaging too and how you build trust with your customers. As we know, the biggest brands in the world are not necessarily the biggest logos out there. They're the ones that give that emotive connection. And, some of the biggest brands are things like Harley-Davidson, because they resonate with an emotion as soon as you hear that name. Whether it's good or bad, I'll leave that up to you. But that's really the power of something like that, is already you have a feeling or a sense that when you see that brand. Personalization of experience is that third one there. So making sure, again, it's tacking to the needs of that individual. And that's really what people are wanting these days. They want it for them. They don't want it for everyone. And brand values that align with theirs. There's a lot of elements you'll see in a second around that environment aspect that are coming through in those values. One-click purchasing options, and then community connected to the brand. So just highlighting those top two again, and how can you as a business really resonate with that and make it really simple and articulate your brand. So this is the area of what is important to the consumers when it comes to their own values. So that first is reducing their food waste, something that probably they've gotten a little bit more used to in lockdowns and COVID. They're seeing the impact on poverty and charities and things like that, but also the packaging and the impact on the environment. So it's really pleasing to see some of these trends are increasing. They're understanding the local aspect and supporting local. So more than ever before, people are starting to connect more with local suppliers. Investing money ethically, what are the values of where I'm investing? Whether it's the big banks or shares or whatever people are investing in, they're looking at the ethics around who they're working with. And then choosing products with a low environmental impact. So again, that connection. And I think we've got a massive opportunity here. We use nature for everything that we do. Do we communicate that well? Probably not as well as we could. So how do we engage that into the conversation and the appreciation of what we have as our playground? Oops, I went backwards, sorry about that. Okay, the other area that McCrindle focus in on is the education side. So I thought I'd bring this out because a lot of you deal in school environments through outdoor camps and outdoor education. And there's some really great learnings that I've tried to pull from that report. So students are changing too, needless to say. All you've got to do is look at your kids and go, what are you thinking, to understand some of the differences in what we were brought up with and what they are brought up with now. But this is a significant chunk of people in the whole of Australia. And you can see that 66% of all our kids go to government schools, and quite still low percentages as far as private and Catholic ed. But the actual changes from our students' perspective are not dissimilar to ours in a way. They're value driven. Something that is really interesting from a demographic shift is the younger age groups are starting to see values and are driven by those. Their appreciation for education. I don't think I could ever say that I was appreciative of my education as I was at school, but yeah, that's coming through in the surveys about how the kids of today are appreciating the effort, and whether that's COVID or not, I'm not too sure, but that's really great to see. But hybrid learning, guys, is here to stay, and we need to think about how we can use that in what we do, or messaging, engaging with the schools on options that are both at home and at camp or in incursions, all the different options that you can come up with, because what you'll see is hybrid learning has proved some great results in areas. So if we go to the values just quickly, the kids actually came up with some really interesting hopes and fears from what they feel. So the hopes is, ironically, I think, still been the same for quite some generations, but it's a lot less affordable these days, is owning their own home. So they hope that they get to own their own home. They feel financial freedom is something to really aim for. They want to excel in their career and they want to travel and see the world. They want to pursue interests and hobbies that make them happy. So all great stuff there, but the fears is around that economics as well. So even though they want to be financially free, they are really worried that that's not going to happen and they don't have enough money to live comfortably. Being stuck in a job that they don't enjoy, hold that one, we'll talk about that one in a second. Not reaching their full potential, not finding love, and not being able to buy their own home. So quite complementary on either way, their hopes to their fears. Learnings from COVID. So this comes into that hybrid discussion that we were just saying. So what they found is that there is some certain areas here where they benefit more online versus more in the classroom. So you can see there that adaptability and working with different environments is a great way to increase adaptability skills with our kids. And by being thrown all these different opportunities on tech and whether it's Zoom, Teams, Kahoot, whatever they work on, you know, they're having to adapt how they're learning on each of those different platforms, and that's certainly resonating. Personal organisation, it's really been up to them to manage their time as students in trying to do their homework, be on the Zoom and do everything in between that's around them at home. So being a little bit more organised. Time management sort of goes into that as well. But where it does start dropping off and the benefits of classroom is around that creativity, collaboration and communication. So again, guys, I think, you know, the learning here is that if they do move to a more hybrid environment and progress education in a hybrid way, what are the opportunities that we have? And what can we provide the schools that might be a little bit different to what we've done in the past? So what the students want, however, is definitely more open plan learning environments. They've worked out the space around them at home is probably better than what they had in a classroom next to everyone over the time of COVID. So certainly they're wanting more open plan learning environments. They want individualized learning, and I think they've had a little bit more of this than ever before. More collaborative classrooms, because they realise if they go back to school, that collaboration has been something they miss, so they want more of that. Inquiry-based learning, student-initiated learning that is, and then teacher delivers instruction. So they want actually more ability to have their own navigation in certain areas, but they do still require that assistance from teachers in understanding a lot of the content. So the concerns of students in today, definitely still around that high pressure, doing well in exams, navigating their own mental well-being. And obviously COVID really highlighted that. Preparing for unknown careers. I think a large proportion of students today, I could see in that report, were saying, well, I don't know what job I'm going to have because the jobs are changing, and what jobs are going to be available now that don't exist now. What jobs are going to be ready when I'm out there in the field. And also not knowing any direction themselves. So, you know, I think all of us struggled with understanding what we're going to do when we leave school, but now everyone's saying, well, they've all got 15 careers in their lifetime. So what are those 15 going to be is the question in their head. Navigating loneliness and social isolation, and then juggling work with study were their biggest concerns. So the other side of it is that we're seeing this huge time on screens, and we know that this is an opportunity for our industry and getting them away from technology. 82% of students are struggling, spending too much time on tech. What is that doing for them, mental health wise, but also eyesight? Just generically, we need to start working on this and seeing, okay, how do we message better when it comes to these challenges? 74% of students actually want to go off social media, but haven't because they would miss out on something. Says a lot, doesn't it? So I think this sort of thing, again, it's highlighting the benefits of getting away from it versus the disadvantages. And 65% of students agree social media is having a negative impact on their mental health, but they're not off it. Okay, so interesting interesting statistics that, you know, we need to certainly hear. Our future employees, and that's who these kids are at the moment. So when choosing tertiary education, what are they considering when they select a course? Now, I found this incredibly intriguing, because knowing that most year 11 and 12s have a little bit of an idea, but they really don't know what they want to do. They're choosing courses because, one, they're available. Two, the location that they exist. The three, the reputation around them. Four, because my family pushed me in that direction, or it sits well with my family environment. And then five, the flexibility of course. For me, this was great to understand how we work with workforce development and the team there on getting more opportunities for kids in seeing the outdoors as a career path. So we've got to try to look at these 5 areas and make sure that there is more availability of our courses and offer it wider across the spectrum of locations. Our reputation, we do need to work on, and that's why we're trying to do so much marketing around the outdoors as a career choice. Fits with the family. What else can fit with a family is an outdoor health and wellbeing message around what we provide. You get that as being a member of our team. And the flexibility of course structure is just so pleasing to see some of the innovations that our guys in TAFE, Peter, at Hunter TAFE and Nerida are looking at in the flexibility of delivering outdoor leadership. And whether it's the trainee side, the Cert 3, the Cert 4, or the diploma, there is some great opportunities now in that flexibility that we've never had before. So we're getting there, but we've still got a little way to go to start honing in on this opportunity of future employees. And then the key desires for these kids are 72% having purpose and meaning in their work. What better meaning do we have than striving for everyone to be more healthier? 68% align with their core values, and we're seeing it in those values that the students said. It's about them. It's about understanding the values of what people have. 65% of a workplace, 65% said the workplace has to be a strong social connection. And as we know, we have great camaraderie in our outdoor environments. 64% of the work that they do has a positive impact on the world around them. Again, looking at that environment versus health and wellbeing, combining that together, bringing to the forefront the message of what we stand for and what we bring to the table. And then 64% want work flexibility. So again, all of this sort of stuff is resonating on the opportunity that we have before us in getting some more future employees into the outdoors. So voluntary turnover. This is really interesting. Remained a higher cost to businesses than involuntary turnover. So what they've actually found is that people leave jobs not because there's an acute reason to leave, there's just no compelling reason to stay. Message for all the employers out there. What's the reason for them to stay? To replace an employee costs you up to 4 times more than it does to keep one. So how do we keep our staff engaged? How do we keep them communicated? How do we keep them engaged and a reason to stay at your organisation? I did have a conversation with a business once and I said, you're not providing training opportunities for them. He said, but if I do, they'll leave. I said, yeah, but if you don't, what are you left with? So think about, the opportunities that you have in engaging your staff and giving them that compelling reason to stay. They want work well-being. They want relationships with colleagues. They want collaborative work environments. They want flexible working hours. That seems to be the theme right across all of these findings, whether it be consumers, students, or future employees. And then they want inspiring, accessible leadership. Now, leadership in its true term, we're working on some stuff for you on that one, but that is certainly something that comes strong and loud, that they want true inspiring leadership, not just someone directing them to do a job. So future career groups, 72% have purpose and meaning in their work. This is all age groups. So we're talking school leavers to everyone who's still in the workforce, up to 80 years of age. 72% want purpose and meaning in their work, regardless of that age. 68% aligns with their core values. And 65% a workplace that is a strong community with that social connection. So it's still reflecting what the kids want when they leave school. This is all age groups, so it's not changing that much. But what we need to do better as organisations is be inclusive to all demographics, because there is opportunity in our industry for all demographics. So thinking about those top 5 things, how can you integrate that into your workplace to make it attractive and keep your visitors there, sorry, your employees there longer by giving them those key areas. So messaging is important, and this is why I'm doing this today, to also give you some understanding of what people are saying and message what you offer to the greater public. And you can see here that this is really showing some great data for us. Wide world Google searches for health and well-being since 2004. What does this tell us? It's a priority. And that's not only obviously just population growth, this is interest growth. And people are seeing, particularly again, coming out of COVID, that they probably haven't appreciated their own health and well-being as much as they probably should be. So we need to take advantage of this and show that we are an opportunity to help this area. So there's McCrindle's details if you want to reach out on anything that you've seen there that you want to know a little bit more about. But as I say, those reports are free on their website. So certainly pull them down, have a look at them at a greater length, and it sends some really clear messages for us to be able to massage what we do and make it a little bit more practical and able for us to attract more visitors. Any questions on any of that? That was a lot of content, and I do apologize in 40 odd minutes, but hopefully that gave you a little bit of an insight into some of the things or ideas that you might be able to implement. But yeah, I'll open it up to any questions or comment. And if there's anything else anyone wants to talk about, please jump in. Cool. All right. Well, we might stop the recording there, and then if anyone wants to talk open and freely, we can do that. So, sorry, Dave, did you want to quickly say something?
The information that was on the employees,
yes,
yeah, that would be good to put into one of those little fancy video things that you do so well, right?
Okay, yep.
And any other stuff, yeah, and send out. It could be, to all operators, yeah, just as a thing that catches your attention, like the workplace one did, yeah. I just think that, and it could be something that we then add to as we have more things about employing and employees. So we can start off with just that simple information. I just thought that was too valuable to end up on YouTube and not be sort of passed around.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
Yeah, we did that. We can put it out on all the Facebook pages and for employees, employers, and
yeah, absolutely, for sure. No, great idea. Thank you. Cool. All right. Well, we might end the recording there, Leslie, and then if anyone wants to